you write so much about food, and we've already started talking about it. And in particular, I'm a huge fan of your book, The Blood Sugar Solution, which is where I think you're one of the first people to start talking about the vagus nerve and the power of the vagus nerve, which we talk about on this show constantly.
Yeah.
And the Ultra Mind Solution is a book.
Oldies but goodies.
Oh, yeah. Oldies but goodies. But listen, everybody, and I'm going to have you explain it. You may have heard that your gut is called the second brain.
Yeah.
But what you may not know is that during the formation of you as a human being, the same embryonic clump that forms the brain also forms the gut. And they separate, but they stay connected via neurotransmitters.
Yeah.
So I think about it like almost like goop. Like you break goop in half and it's got those stringy sections and part of it becomes your brain and the second part becomes the gut.
Well, they call it your gut brain or your second brain.
Yes. And that they talk to each other all the time.
Completely, yeah.
And so where I want to start with this is, can you explain the connection between your gut and your gut health and your overall health? And then we're going to get into specific mental health issues that people struggle with and the gut.
Absolutely. What was really amazing to me, Mel, is I began to practice functional medicine. I began to, treat people's guts. I would help their immune system get better. I'd get them on anti-inflammatory diets. And as a side effect, they would report to me that my ADD is better, my depression's gone, my panic attacks are gone, my mood is better, I'm sleeping better. All these things, I'm like, really? What's going on here? And I began to really inquire about this process of how everything below the neck is influencing everything above the neck.
Yes.
So the subtitle of the Ultramind Solution is how to fix your broken brain by fixing your body first. Right? And what's really amazing is the microbiome is this new frontier. In addition to the understanding of the gut brain and the gut nervous system and the brain nervous system and how they're connected, and that's a real thing. There's constant communication. There's more neurotransmitters in your gut than your brain. But what's now happening is the understanding of this sea of bacteria in there that are all speaking to you every minute. And I just had talked to a scientist who was researching a particular microbe in the gut. And it's a big word. It's called Akkermansia. Don't worry about it. It's just one of the bacteria that lives in there. I
already forgot it.
Okay. And what's amazing is as they were fermenting this, growing this bacteria to put in a probiotic, which is very powerful for many things, for regulating metabolism and mood and blood sugar and everything, they discovered that this vat of the byproducts of this bacteria was something called GABA. Now, GABA is a calming neurotransmitter.
Oh.
When people take Valium, that's what it's doing. It's activating the GABA receptors in the brain to calm you down and relax you. So when you think if you have the right bacteria in your gut, you're producing compounds and neurotransmitters that are going to your brain and making you either relaxed and calm or depressed. There's a woman at Harvard, Uma Naidu, who's studying very actively the microbiome and depression as a way to treat mental illness, fix the gut.
Wow. Okay, I want to have you define a few things for us. So you've used the word inflammation a lot.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Well, everybody knows.
Everybody does not know.
You got a sore throat, that's inflammation. You cut your finger, it gets red and pussy, that's inflammation.
Oh.
Right?
No, I'd never thought about it that way.
You sprain your knee, it swells up. That's
that I know.
That's inflammation.
But when you functional medicine doctors throw around the word inflammation, inflammation here, I don't even know what you're talking about.
So we know that inflammation on the outside, what it looks like.
Yes.
Right? That's what I was just referring to.
Yes.
But there's inflammation on the inside.
Oh.
And it's silent inflammation. If your brain's inflamed, it doesn't get red and swollen, but you get depressed and you have ADD and you have personality issues and you can't sleep and you're anxious, right?
Oh.
So we're now understanding that the inflammation, this hidden inflammation, is occurring inside of us, and it's leading to all the diseases of Western civilization: heart disease, cancer, diabetes, dementia. The aging process itself is called inflammaging, which is one of the hallmarks of aging I talk about in Young Forever in my book. And the beautiful thing is that we now know what is driving the inflammation on the inside.
What's causing us to have inflammation on the inside?
Our gut is a big player.
Okay.
70% of our immune system's in our gut. And if we don't eat the right food, if our microbiome isn't the right bugs in there, they're nasty bugs. And we get leaky gut, and that means the body can't filter out the food and proteins from food and the bacteria in there, and you leak them across the intestinal lining, and guess what? Your immune system's right there, and it goes, holy shit, what is all this? And starts creating inflammation. So you get asthma, or you get arthritis, or you get depression, or you get diabetes, or you get dementia, because the gut bacteria and the whole system in there is broken down.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Because I think this is really important for everybody to understand. Let's back up a minute and talk about how your gut is supposed to function. So when it's functioning in the correct way, because I only learned about leaky gut because we had a daughter that struggled with disordered eating.
Yeah.
And she was constantly talking about how she felt fat. And I thought, oh my God, we have not only this issue with restriction and her not eating, but we now have body dysmorphia. And we went to see a nutritionist that was a functional, holistic nutritionist. And she came back and said, through the disordered eating, your daughter has destroyed
her gut.
Yeah. There are no positive bacteria strains.
Yeah.
So the food hits her gut.
Yeah.
And without positive bacteria strains, the food doesn't break down.
Yeah.
And so she does feel bloated.
You get bloated
and then like all of this acidic crap, because the food is not digesting properly because there's no positive bacteria, all this acidic crap leaks through the wall of the gut and then goes through the nervous system, and the anxiety spikes. So this was brand new to me.
Yeah.
So can you just explain to everybody, when your gut is in balance, how is it functioning properly? Because I think that'll give everybody the ability to then understand the impact of it not functioning properly.
Well, I mean, you pretty much shouldn't know it's there. It should do its job, right? You shouldn't be bloated, distended. You shouldn't have heartburn. You shouldn't have gas. You should feel fine.
Really? People go through life without all that?
I mean, you can have a little gas, but it's not like, that's kind of a normal thing. But I think, if people are really noticing their gut function,
yes,
something's wrong.
Okay.
And then you just look in the toilet. You should have a perfectly formed log. It just floats a little bit. And that's it. And you should feel the urge to go, and you should go, and it should take a couple minutes, and that's it. And that is not the case for most people in the Western civilization. There was a guy named Dennis Burkitt who studied people in Africa, and he was looking at the hunter-gatherers who'd moved to the cities and the differences in the health outcomes in these two different populations between the hunter-gatherers and the city dwellers who were the same genetically. And he found that the city dwellers had lots of heart disease and autoimmune disease and diabetes and all these Western diseases, whereas the hunter-gatherers had none. And what he noticed was that the hunter-gatherer stool weight, their size of their poop, was 2 pounds a day. The city dwellers was 4 ounces.
What?
Yeah, because of all the fiber and all the plant foods they were eating that fed the good bugs in their gut.
Meaning the people that were hunter-gatherers had a better
diet.
Yeah, and I would also imagine, and we're going to get into this, that the stressors of living in the city and the stressors of that kind of life also impacted the body functioning.
Totally. I mean, totally. And there's many pathways through which this works, but the gut and the microbiome is a huge factor. So we know now how to identify imbalances in there. We know how to test for it. We know how to treat it. Not most traditional doctors, but most functional medicine doctors, this is the focus of a lot of the way we help people, is by optimizing their gut function. So that's a big cause of inflammation. The other big cause, and this is also was mediated through the gut, which is our diet. Because when we eat, we're not just feeding us. We're feeding the 1,000 critters that live down there. There's probably 10 trillion cells in there that we're feeding.
In your gut.
In your gut. And many cells of your own body. There's probably 100 times as much DNA as your own body. And probably half the metabolites in your blood come from the bacteria, not from you, and they affect everything that's going on. If they're the bad guys, you're going to feel bad, and if they're the good guys, you're going to feel good. And so when you eat sugar and starch and processed food and artificial sweeteners and thickeners and gums and additives, they just destroy the microbiome. Plus, pesticides and glyphosate and all this stuff just kills it. And so we really have a gut crisis in this country, but we also have the food crisis. And the food crisis is really what's driving it. And I think if people understand how powerful food is, they don't really have to listen to me. I mean, you can listen to this podcast, you can listen to a million other podcasts. Just for 10 days, change your diet and see what happens. Not for a year or 10 years, but 10 days. Anybody can do anything for 10 days. And when you do that, you literally take away all the potential inflammatory foods, all the foods that are causing you to have issues, which is typically gluten, dairy, sugar, processed
So what
foods.
is the 10-day? Just give us simple rules that you want everybody listening to try. This is a dare.
Let's go through a sample menu for a day, but it's basically protein and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and berries. And so you
hold on. You said that very fast. Protein, vegetables,
nuts and seeds, and
berries,
and lots of good fats, olive oil, avocados. Okay. So it's basically breakfast could be, for example, a couple of eggs with sliced tomatoes, and avocado with olive oil on top. Lunch could be a big salad with lots of different veggies and tomatoes. I could throw a can of wild salmon on there.
Yep.
Put in some pumpkin seeds, just lots of good plant
Very
food.
colorful.
Very colorful. And dinner might be, some a big piece of fish or chicken or a nice small piece of meat with 3/4 of your plate should be vegetables. So
3/4 of your plate.
So like
everybody.
I'll have like the other night I had like a purple sweet potato. I had some roasted mushrooms. I had, I can totally have like a roasted eggplant, whatever you kind of get excited about. Broccolini, I make cruciferous vegetables every day. These are the broccoli.
What did
family.
you say?
Cruciferous vegetables.
What the hell were cruciferous?
Broccoli, basically the broccoli
what does
family.
Cruciferous mean?
It means broccoli, basically broccoli, collards, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. All those
the fibery crap
cauliflower.
your grandmother served. Is that what you're saying?
It's this family of vegetables. It's a super family.
Got it.
Because it actually detoxes your cells. It helps prevent cancer.
Wow.
It boosts all the detox hormones molecules in your body.
So I want to stop you real quick because you posted something 2 days ago.
I did. What?
That was I'd never really thought about it this way. And it was, you'll probably say it better than me, but it was a very simple post that was like, your cells, your brain cells, like all of this stuff, your skin, that all is continuing to grow. It doesn't just grow out of thin air. It actually is impacted and grows from the raw materials that you give it. And so would you rather have cells that are made from a bag of Doritos?
Exactly.
Or cells made from a salad or a piece of fish? And when you boil it down that way, like, holy cow, what I put in my mouth is what I become.
Yeah, absolutely. You literally become what you eat. I mean, I just had someone on my podcast, the Doctor's Pharmacy, talking about the difference between, for example, pasture-raised bison and bison that were fed corn and feedlot bison, which are still better than
cows. And what
cows.
lab bison?
Feedlot bison, meaning grown on a factory farm.
Okay, got it.
And they measured 15 different 100 metabolites. And what they found was so different among the same genetically identical bison. One had all these incredible molecules that come from plants because it was eating all these grasses. It had different fatty acids. It had different vitamins in it and different minerals in it. And it was just so profound. So you are what you eat, but you also are whichever you're eating. Right? And the whole thing goes up the chain. And we really have to get how powerful food is. And do an experiment. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Mel. Listen to your own body. Your body's the smartest doctor in the room. It'll tell you what works and what doesn't. And when you stop this or that, you go, well, God, no, wait a minute. My joints don't hurt. Or wait a minute. I'm not having terrible reflux or heartburn anymore. Or I don't have migraines. What happened? Or my mood is better. What's going on? It's what you're eating.
Wow. What are the top things that people should, in this kind of 10-day window, stop eating?
I mean, anything that comes in a package, basically, if it's canned, sardines or salmon, that's fine. But basically anything comes in a package, can, or a box, get rid of it. If it's sugar, no. If sugar sweetened beverages, no. Alcohol, no. And I sound like I'm a food Nazi, but what I'm saying is get rid of grains and beans for a short time, because a lot of people have inflammation from that if they have a gut issue. Grains and beans are healthy and they're good for you, but for some people they can be a problem, right? It's just like peanuts are good for people, but if some people...
Well, what's the universal one? It's no gluten.
No gluten, no sugar, no dairy, no alcohol, no processed food.
Do you have any fun?
Absolutely. I have so much fun. I have so much fun every day.
I'm just kidding.
My whole life is fun. And I don't feel restricted. I don't starve myself. And the thing is, these foods are addictive, Mel. So people think, I gotta have, well, sugar. Well, can I have artificial? I know what people are listening, thinking about. They're thinking, oh, Dr. Hyman, can I have artificial sweeteners? Or can I have, stevia? Or can I have,
is stevia okay?
Everybody's going it through their head. And if you are having this inner dialogue right now, I guarantee you have biological addiction to sugar because you're trying to find a way out. You know, I'm going to stop smoking, but I'm going to vape, or I'm going to chew Nicorette gum. Well, that's not getting rid of your addiction.
Yes.
Right? And I think it's not your fault. And this is probably one of the biggest problems I have with the narrative in America, that we are blaming the person who's overweight for their problem. It's your fault that you're eating too much and not exercising enough, because that's the solution to weight loss. It's all about calories in, calories out. It's all about moderation. And if you can't do it, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
That's just a big, fat lie. And that keeps people feeling ashamed about themselves. It keeps them from being empowered to know what to do. It keeps the food industry free of responsibility. And it's one of the most unfortunate narratives that we have. And then we get this whole body positive movement. And I think it's important for people to feel good about themselves.
Yes.
But the whole idea of healthy at any weight, there are some for sure that are healthy when they're a bigger size. But the truth is, when you look at the biology of it, only 6.8% of Americans are metabolically healthy. Meaning that means they have normal blood sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure, they're not overweight, and they don't have heart disease. Like, that's 6.8% of us. That means 93% of us are somewhere in the spectrum from normal to prediabetes, to diabetes.
And what you're here to say is it's not your fault, because the way that food is manufactured, it is addictive.
Yeah.
And it is screwing up your body chemistry, and it is causing like a whole litany of things that you aren't even thinking that my diet and the way that processed food is getting metabolized is causing this inflammation that makes my brain not work right, that impacts focus and energy and mood and sleep and all of these things. And all of your work points to the fact that one of the places that all of us can start is by just doing an experiment for 10 days where you stop the dairy, stop the gluten, stop the sugar, and you eat a colorful meal of whole foods and vegetables. 3/4 of the plate is vegetables, and have a protein. There is your homework for 10 days, and report back, everybody, because you've seen over and over and over again that in that small of a window, people have remarkable results.
Yeah. I mean, that's the key, because if people go, this is a long slog, going to take me years, you're not going to want to do it. But if you for a short time reset, it's like, when your computer's just going and some program's hung up and that crazy rainbow ball, which I want to kill, is spinning around, you just restart your computer and then, all of a sudden it works. So this is like the restart, and has enormous benefits, because for the first time, people understand what they're doing impacts how they feel.
Yeah. I almost feel like this is like an oil change. We got to get that nasty ass oil out there and glug, 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 get your gut working right. Can we talk about the impact of the gut with anxiety, and what's your recommendation? If somebody struggles with anxiety, what do they need to do to heal their gut, and how will that impact anxiety?
Well, anxiety can be caused from many things, right? From, life stresses, from trauma, from environmental toxins, from your microbiome, from eating too much sugar. I mean, there's a whole list. So functional medicine is about getting to the root cause.
Yep.
And anxiety is a symptom. It's like saying I have a headache, right? Well, did someone hit you in the head with a hammer? Or do you have a migraine? Are you eating gluten? Did you not sleep enough? Did you have a hangover? Or do you have a brain tumor? You have an aneurysm. Like, why do you have a headache?
Right.
So anxiety is just like saying I have a headache, or depression is like saying I have a headache.
Okay.
It doesn't mean anything other than what your symptoms are. The question is, what's the cause? And that is what functional medicine is so good about. And so the gut plays a big role. But I really just start with the simple lifestyle practices. Do a 10-day reset. Do some simple movement, take a walk, do some simple mindfulness practices, do your take 5 or high 5.
Yeah.
I do take 5, which is 5 breaths 5 times a day. It's simple. Like before you eat, every time before you go to bed, take 5 breaths in, slowly in and out for 5 seconds.
How the hell does that help?
It resets your nervous system, because every time you breathe, you move your diaphragm, and your diaphragm is this place where the vagus nerve goes through. The vagus nerve is your relaxation nerve.
Yeah.
So how do you turn on the automatic parts of your nervous system that you don't really think about, right? I'm going to make my heart beat at 62 beats a minute, or I'm going to make sure I have 14 breaths a minute, or your body just knows what to do. That's your nervous system.
You just need to find the switch and flip it.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing. So you can actually use your breath to reset your nervous system and to calm everything down and lower adrenaline, lower cortisol, lower all the stress hormones, and reset your system. But it doesn't take a lot.
I want to just come back to something you said in the very beginning. Over and over and over again, you're proving simple ways that your body is designed to heal itself.
Yeah.
So 5 breaths, deep breaths. Walk us through how you do the 5 breaths.
Just go, take a deep breath in to 5 through your nose. and 5 out. Do that 5 times. It's not that hard.
Yeah, but nobody
I just
does
did it once and I feel already more
I
relaxed.
feel better too. And again, it's proof that if you do the right input, your body responds.
Yeah, we're just looking out there for a solution, and I think it's like Dorothy in her ruby red slippers. She was running around Oz trying to find a way to get back to Kansas, and the truth is she had her ruby red slippers the whole time, and all she had to do was click her heels 3 times and get home. You know, I think we all are like Dorothy. We have ruby red slippers. We just don't know we have them, and we don't know how to click them. And this is really what my work is about. It's what my book Young Forever is focused on. How do we activate our healing systems? Whether you're 25 or 75, you can activate these systems and feel better now and put yourself on the track for a longer, healthier life.
Wow. Let's talk about ADHD. And
What'd you say?
ADHD.
What?
Okay, I even fell for that. That was good. Let's talk about ADHD.
What were we talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about ADHD and the gut. How it is healing your gut.
Oh God!
Helping with ADHD.
I got to tell you a story.
Tell me a story.
It was one of the books that I wrote, The Ultramind Solution, that had this kid's story, and it was what really got me on this track of thinking about writing this book. It was a 12-year-old kid who had severe ADHD when he was younger. It was in kindergarten on Adderall, and kicked out of kindergarten. I mean, who gets kicked out of kindergarten?
Wow.
And just struggling at 12 years old. His mother was at her wit's end, and some behavior problems, and just struggling. And the mother brought him in, and I did a full evaluation, because I don't just say, tell me about your ADHD. I said, tell me about your bowel movements. Tell me about what's happening with this and that and the other thing. It turned out he had asthma, he had irritable bowel syndrome, he had headaches at night, he had muscle cramps, he had anal itching, which is a clue about something.
Oh, okay.
It's often a sign of yeast issues.
Yeah.
So he had all these problems. And he was on 7 different medications from multiple different doctors, on asthma medications, on gut medications, on ADD medications, on mood medication. I mean, it was a mess. And his mother brought his handwriting in to show me before, and we can post this on your show notes, before and I started treating him, and then 2 months later after. And all we did was clean up his diet. Kid was living on junk food, never ate a vegetable in his life, massively nutritionally deficient. He was deficient in magnesium, which caused muscle cramps. He was deficient in zinc because he didn't ever eat any pumpkin seeds or vegetables. He had and his immune system was dysregulated. He had also B vitamin deficiencies. He was having gut issues with bad bacteria. He had gluten sensitivity. He had yeast overgrowth. He had a little bit of lead in his system.
Wow.
All this stuff that was really easy to treat. All I did was basically take out the bad food, put in a whole foods diet, a little bit of an elimination diet we talked about. I gave him basic multivitamins, some fish oil, magnesium, and vitamin D, some probiotics, kind of reset his gut. And the mother brings him back 2 months later, and she said, not only is his ADD gone, but all of his other symptoms are gone. His migraines, his irritable bowel, his asthma, his skin issues, his anal itching, it's all gone. Congestion, sinus issues, all gone. And his handwriting went from totally illegible, these kids with really bad penmanship, to perfectly legible, perfect penmanship. And I didn't send him to a handwriting school. All I did was fix his brain by fixing his body, by fixing his gut.
I'm processing this.
Yeah, it's a lot.
No. I'm processing this because I have a visual to share with you listening to us. And then I want to tell a quick story because I'm starting to feel like ding, 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 ding with our own son. Mm-hmm. So the visual I want to give everybody, because it just hit me, is when somebody has an allergic reaction, like they get stung by a bee or they eat something that they're allergic to and their face turns bright red, or, something swells on their body. That inflammation that you're seeing on the outside is the body reacting to something that it can't process.
Or that it
correct?
doesn't like.
Can you describe what an allergic reaction means medically? Because I then want to tie it to something that I'm now thinking about when it comes to the gut. So what does it mean when you have an allergic reaction? You have allergies.
Yeah. I mean, there's really 2 main kind of allergies.
Okay.
One is a true allergy. So if you eat peanuts,
right,
your tongue swells up, your lungs shut down, you can't breathe, and you can die.
Correct.
You get anaphylaxis. That's
Yep.
a life-threatening emergency. A
Yep.
bee sting allergy. That's a certain type we call type 1
Okay.
allergy, which is super fast, super quick, and you can die from it. Then there-
EpiPen people.
Yes,
EpiPen.
EpiPen people, right? Then there's the delayed sensitivity. It's not a true allergy,
Yep.
but it can create sort of low-grade long-term symptoms.
Okay.
So if you eat bread, you might have brain fog. Is that a true allergy? No. But is it sensitivity? Yes.
Yes.
Right? And I think people don't have, I mean, I know, for example, if I eat dairy that's from a regular feedlot cow, I will get congestion and snotty immediately, and
Yep.
I'll probably get pimples the next day.
Yep.
But if I have, for example, sheep or goat products that are from regenerative sheep that have A2 casein, which is non-inflammatory, then I don't, right? So it's really not so much about the type 1 we're so much worried about. It's all these other types of food reactions that are slow and delayed and create this low-grade inflammation that creates all these symptoms for people.
Yes. So I wanted to bring that visual in for everybody because I think it's really helpful. You know, when for me personally, I don't know if it's the dyslexia. I just don't know if it's because I'm a visual learner. I love to have something I can think about visually to help me process large amounts of information. And so when I think about my husband, for example, who's allergic to bees, he has an EpiPen. I wish he would carry it around a little bit more. But when he gets stung with a bee, it's not life-threatening, but it's scary.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me a couple of years ago, I wonder if like these sensitivities and these allergies that people have to food that may not cause swelling or redness in your face or breakouts or whatever that you can't see, I wonder if all of this is screwing up the way that our body is able to function.
Absolutely.
And it interferes with your body's way to function. And so when you think about it like those kind of type 1 ones that, and you just explained it like, if you have a sensitivity to wheat or your body just can't handle the big company manufactured foods because of the chemicals and the dyes and the crap that are in it, it is causing your whole body to have almost like this reaction,
smoldering inflammation.
this smoldering inflammation, just like a bee sting causes Chris's face to blow up. And so when you think about it that way, it makes so much sense to go, holy cow. If you just simply were to switch your diet from all this processed crap, grab and go, and you were to put on your plate a little bit of protein and 3/4 vegetables, it would probably calm your body down and your thoughts down. And here's what I'm going, holy fuck, this is crazy. Because our son, exactly what you're talking about, Oakley in 4th grade was diagnosed with severe dyslexia. The kid could not read. He was so like blah, bitty, blah, bitty, blah, that he literally snowed everybody for about a year. And then they got to the point where you can't just raise your hand first and make something up, and that makes people think that you read it. And the math problems are getting harder, so you can't. So the gig was up. Cannot read. It looked, honest to God, like he was writing with his feet. His dysgraphia was so bad.
Exactly.
He could not sit still. So we pull him out of public school. We put him in the Carroll School outside of Boston. Fortunate enough to get him in there only about language-based learning. And they immediately medicate him for ADHD. He hated the meds. But it was the only way he could sit still in class. Fast forward to about 8th grade. He starts advocating for himself. I'm not eating meds. I'm not taking these meds. I'm not taking these meds. I'm not taking these meds. We're like, fine. But if we get a report from school that you are bouncing around the classroom and you can't sit still, we're going to have to find a different solution. This school happened to have a cafeteria where all the kids ate, and it had a whole like food healthy options. Like there were no unhealthy options. There was the salad bar, there was the homemade soup, there was a protein. He gets into 9th grade. When I tell you this kid is a totally different person. His handwriting is different. That's what made me think of this. His ability to focus is different. He has not been on meds now for 3 years. You would not know that this kid had severe dyslexia. No. He is just, I don't even know who he is. It's like destroying it in school. He is present. And he eats vegetables. Like he has a totally different diet. Like I'm sitting here going, holy shit, like the kid used to eat mac and cheese,
Oh yeah.
chicken nuggets.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Don't put a vegetable on my
That'll
plate.
do it. Yeah, it's really true. And it's like,
And I'm just processing this because I'm like, I think this is a major part of why he is transformed.
and Mel, it's not just ADD. Everything that goes on in our brain above our neck is governed in the same way. We may not have such severe symptoms. We may not have asthma. We may not have severe ADD, but we may have fatigue or brain fog or just depression or anxiety.
Well, let's talk about depression
right?
because anxiety is not a disease. ADHD is not a disease.
No, they're just.
Let's talk about depression though, because that is technically like a disease, right?
Well, anxiety is a disease, and ADD is considered a disease. I mean,
Why?
they're in the disease classification manual. I don't agree. I think here. Let me just back up a little bit. We have like 155,000 diseases in our doctor manual that we can pick from when we want to diagnose somebody, and most of them are just descriptions of the symptoms that people have, but tell you nothing about the cause.
So is the root cause inflammation? Is that the root cause of all of this?
Many things is inflammation.
What is the root?
Everything.
What are the options when it comes to root cause for you as a functional medical doctor?
Yeah. So basically, at the beginning, we talked about taking out the bad stuff, putting in the good stuff.
Yeah.
And the body's not that complicated. I mean, it's complex. It's very dynamic, but basically, it needs certain things to thrive, and certain things make it not thrive. Right. So, what are the things that we need to think about getting rid of that the body doesn't like?
Okay.
Bad food.
Yep.
And we've sort of defined that's processed food, sugar, most of the stuff that people are eating. 60% of our diet is ultra processed food, which is deadly. It's stress, and it can be physical or psychological stress. And a lot of, stress is really defined as the perception of a real or imagined threat to your body or your ego. So it could be a tiger chasing you, or you could think your spouse is cheating on you, but it's not true.
Or
right?
you could think that your boss is mad at you.
Yeah, like Woody Allen with a gun to his head has one reaction. James Bond has another action, right?
That's an interesting
Same
example.
gun, different response. So the
Yes.
perception is our mindset, our beliefs, our attitudes. A lot of things you talk about, Mel, are really what drives our stress response.
How does a negative thought cause a physiological problem in your body? A stress response.
I'm going to answer that. Can I finish the
No, you can't. No, I'm
because
just
you have ADD. Because I'm just going to continue with the thing that I wanted to say.
I
and then
clearly
I'll come
need
back
to eat
this.
more vegetables, goddammit.
I'll come back to that. So the other few things that are the things that cause our body to be out of balance, besides bad food and stress, are toxins. So we are living in a sea of environmental toxins, from heavy metals to pesticides.
Okay.
Our gut and microbiome is a huge factor. So an unhealthy gut and bad bugs, and it can be infections or can mostly come from the gut. And last is things that irritate our immune system, like allergens or sensitivities.
Okay.
Those 5 things.
So say
are
them again. Bad foods.
Bad food, stress, toxins, bad bugs, and
Sensitivity.
allergens.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And those interact with our biology with 7 basic systems that we have that keep us healthy. And if we have those things, they create imbalance. So we have to get rid of those things, take out the bad stuff. So what are the good stuff? What are the ingredients for health? How does our bodies thrive? We know how to take care of our car. We change the oil. We fill up the air in our tires. We, get the tune-up. We change the spark plugs, whatever. Like most of us have a clue. In our bodies, we have no clue. So what are the things our bodies need? We need the right nutrients and nutrition. And it's a little bit personalized, but I've written a lot about how to find a way of eating that's good for you and that you like. It's culturally relevant. It's affordable. Second is nutrients. We are often deficient in many nutrients, particularly omega-3s, vitamin D, B vitamins, iron, zinc. These are magnesium common nutritional deficiencies that have broad impacts across the body, including our mood. Then we need the right balance of hormones. We need the right amount of light at the right time. So if you're having, blue light at night, you're not going to sleep. If you don't have, blue light in the morning, your brain can't reset for the day.
When you say blue light in the morning, are you talking about bright
Sunlight.
light outside?
Sunlight.
Okay.
Go outside.
I didn't
20
really
minutes.
realize that sunlight was blue light.
Yeah, well, it's got blue in the blue light spectrum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so at night we just are overstimulated with our computers and our screens, and this screws up. So we need the right kind of light. We need the right type of clean air. We need clean water. We need movement, like exercise. We need resetting, restoration, relaxation, resetting the vagus nerve, sympathetic nervous system needs to be calmed down, right? That's not a passive activity. So you have to actively relax, right? Whether it's breathing or yoga or meditation or whatever, prayer, journaling, a million ways to do it. Then we need also sleep. And most of us are not getting enough sleep or good quality sleep. So 7-8 hours minimum for most people is essential. And there's a lot of talk we can talk about sleep. And then we need connection, community, love, meaning and purpose. These are all ingredients for health. In my book, I talk about how, for example, if we cured heart disease and cancer from the face of the planet, we'd extend our life by 5 to 7 years.
If we cured loneliness?
If we cured loneliness and developed connection and meaning and purpose, we extend our life by 7 years or more. So wait a minute. Basically, having meaning and purpose and connection in your life is more powerful than curing cancer and heart disease in terms of longevity. So and I know from my travel to blue zones, that was a big part of the medicine they had, was community is medicine.
Right.
Connection is medicine.
Yeah.
And
And I'm sure you're seeing it as a epidemic of loneliness, especially coming out of the pandemic.
Totally. So those are the ingredients for health that we need to provide, and everybody needs different ones. For example, some people might need more vitamin D, some people might need more sleep, some people need different kind of exercise. So it's really personalized, but those are the basic ingredients. So
it's
that's
sort of personalized, right? Yeah. Because like just talking to the broad audience that's listening, you've mentioned a number of supplements, and it's the same ones over and over. So for anybody listening that's like, okay, I got it, I have to do something. We've already talked about diet and changing your diet, and even just noticing that if you were to remove the things we've talked about and add in this very simple, clean, healthy, vegetable forward and clean protein diet in 6 to 10 days, you're going to feel like a different person. Just try it.
Try it. And then you can decide what you want to do after that, right?
Yes.
I want to keep eating my donuts. Okay, fine. Then you're going to feel like crap. And if you want to feel like crap, it's your prerogative. Right?
Well, I'll tell you something. I am now on, it's like, I don't know, day 30 something of not drinking. It's life-changing.
Yeah, totally.
It's totally life-changing. And I cannot believe how much clearer I am. I cannot believe how much more present I am. I cannot believe that I don't really miss it. Yep. And I had committed to doing this for almost 3 months, and I don't know how I'll incorporate it back, if ever. Maybe here and there, but like it just was such a profound difference for me that I'm kind of dumbfounded I didn't do this earlier.
Yeah.
Today, you and I are going to talk about something that we have all experienced. Maybe you're experiencing it at this very moment. What is the topic? We're talking about bloating. And there's a particular reason why I wanted to talk about bloating today. And the reason is simple. I am so freaking bloated right now. I'm uncomfortable. See, here's what happened. The last couple weeks, I have been on the road for work, and I've been going from one city to the next city, and I've been giving speeches and having business meetings, and it's been really great. And I want to tell you a little secret. This is like a travel secret, little travel tip, that when I travel for work, I always just travel with a carry-on. And you may be asking yourself, well, Mel, if you have been traveling for 2 weeks, how the heck can you go to multiple cities with a carry-on? Well, the secret is simple. I wear the same outfit to every speech and every business meeting. I swear to God, I travel with a uniform. And if you ever look at any of the stories on Instagram, you will notice, wow, Mel always has on the same pair of red pants and the black shirt whenever she's giving her speech. It's true. I have this stretchy pair of red pants that I love that are made out of polyester, and I have this great black Oxford shirt that is also made out of polyester, and I wear it on stage and I wear it to business meetings, and it looks fantastic. And the other thing that's fantastic about polyester is that when you get to a hotel room, if you hang a polyester pair of pants up in a shower and you run a shower, within about 15 minutes, the steam of a shower in a hotel room cleans it like a dry cleaner. Absolutely fabulous. So here I am, I'm on the road, and I've got my red polyester pants. And on Monday, I put the red pants on. They felt great. On Tuesday, I'm in Nashville to give a speech, put the red polyester pants. They felt great. Wednesday, put the red polyester pants on in Chicago. They felt great. On Thursday, I put the red polyester pants on in Orlando for a speech. They felt great. Friday, when I put the red polyester pants on, not so great, everybody. I mean, I couldn't button them. And when I looked down, I realized I have the pants here. You can see them if you look at YouTube. This poor button is hanging on by a thread for dear life. Like I'm talking, it has a singular thread because the tension on the waistband on this poor little button over the course of the last week has basically acted like a saw, slowly sawing apart the threads that were attaching the button to the pants. That button was the hardest working person in my company for the last 5 days. And I don't know what happened, because I take care of myself when I'm on the road. It's not like I'm downing Jim Beam or I'm like out late. I get a great night's sleep. I travel with friends. We're having a lot of fun. I love what I'm doing, but I kid you not. I will show you photos of me on that Friday. I look like I'm in the second trimester of a pregnancy. I have a food baby that looks like a basketball right in my stomach. And here's the thing. I know that I didn't gain weight. I mean, because you can't gain 7 to 10 pounds in 5 days. But somehow I gained the equivalent of that in bloating. And so I finally got home here and I'm like, I have to figure out what to do, because I am either going to be belching for 2 weeks or farting this out. And neither one is a great option. And I feel terrible. And I don't want to wear sweatpants for the next, 4 weeks while I'm waiting for the bloating to go down. And so I was just about to Google, how do you get rid of a bloat? 5-day reset. And I thought, Mel, what are you doing? Why don't you call Dr. Amy Shaw? I mean, Dr. Amy Shaw, as you probably know, if you're a listener to the Mel Robbins podcast, she's been on this twice before. She is a double board certified medical doctor in the field of allergies, immunology, and internal medicine. She graduated magna cum laude from Cornell University's world-renowned School of Nutrition. She went on to receive her doctorate with distinction. She's trained at Harvard, at Columbia, and she is on the front line of nutritional and medical science. She's been on this show before. She's incredible. And her best-selling book, I'm So Effin' Hungry, Why We Crave, What We Crave, and What to Do About It. It is the manual on trying to balance your hormones and understand the science of nutrition so that you can curb your cravings. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you going to Google when you can get Dr. Shaw on? And Dr. Shaw can explain what is bloating, why does it happen, and more importantly, what is the protocol? Like, what could you do in, let's say, 5 days? Is there a 5-day reset that you and I could follow so that whenever you feel bloated because of what you ate or because of stress or because of whatever the heck is going on, you know what to do? And so that's what we're doing today. And I also know that this conversation, we're planning on releasing it right during the holidays. And so you're going to be in the thick of it. You're going to be in the thick of all those amazing meals and the stress of the holidays and the drinking and the travel and the this and the that. And so wherever it is that you're coming to this conversation, we got a seat at the table for you. And you can have your pants buttoned or not. You can have on your red pants with your food baby. You can have on your soft pants with your sweatpants on. Everybody is welcome here, because every single one of us at some point in our lives feels bloated. And for me, it's today. And what we're going to do today is we're going to hear from the amazing Dr. Amy Shaw. What are we going to do about this? So please help me welcome Dr. Amy Shaw back to the Mel Robbins podcast.
So grateful to be here with you, Mel.
Can we just start with what the heck is bloating?
Bloating is so many things. It's the feeling of distension in your abdomen, but everybody thinks it's just from gas. Yes, it is from gas, but it can also be from your hormones. It can be like water retention. It can be from medications causing discomfort. It can be just from being constipated. You know, we all go through that where we're bloated, not because there's gas, but there's actual stool in there. So, and then menopause bloating, right? That's like even more so than the regular PMS bloating. There's a whole menopause bloating. So we have, and there's so many other causes of bloating. So it's not just you ate too much or you ate too many Brussels sprouts or broccoli, which we can talk about. It's also, it can be from so many other things.
Well, you said a big word just a minute ago. You said distended.
Yeah.
That bloating is when your stomach is distended. What does that word mean?
So when your belly is pushing out, so from the inside. So you can have, like I said, it can be from stool. It can be from air. It can be from hormones causing water retention. And we all know how, I don't know about you, but when right before my period, I look like I'm pregnant. Okay, so all of that is distension inside. So this could be the wall of the intestines like swollen, or it could be there's gas inside, or it could be there's stool or food inside. And that's why it's distended. So there's so many different ways, but it feels kind of the same.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for explaining that, because I'm trying to really help myself and anyone listening tease out the difference between, oh, my habits have changed and I'm gaining a lot of weight, versus, oh, I've got something going on where from the inside out, it's almost like I feel like somebody has blown a balloon up inside of me full of something. I know this might sound like an insensitive question, but I have to ask this. How do you know if you're bloated versus you've just let your eating slide and you're gaining weight?
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes the difference, right? Because, you know, you go on a week-long binge, it's say the holidays, or you're on vacation, and you come back and it's almost like a combination of multiple things. You're retaining water because you traveled a lot, you drank a lot, maybe you ate a lot of salt, and then your gut bacteria are mad at you. Remember, there is this world that lives inside your gut called the microbiome, and they're just mad and they're producing all this gas to let you know that they're mad. And then you probably ate a lot of excess calories for that period of time. So it could be a combination of all three. And you won't know until you start to reset your gut what is actually happening, because the water weight will go away pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, if you're constipated, pretty much hopefully can resolve that. And then once you get your diet back on track, you might notice that the scale is starting to go down. So all of these things start to resolve themselves together.
You know, why don't I back up a minute? Because here's what I'm starting to wonder. In reaching out to you, Dr. Shaw, I had a food baby. I could not button my pants. And it happened so fast over the course of 5 days that I knew that this was bloating. But can you explain what are the symptoms that might surprise someone to hear that you may be bloated and dealing with extra gas or really mad gut bacteria?
You're burping a lot, obviously farting, because farting and bloating go really hand in hand. You're constipated. That's a good sign. That's not a good sign, but that's a sign that you are bloated. Because often when you have a lot of gas in your intestines, you can't push that stool out. And you might not just be bloated in your gut. You might be one of those people who's retaining fluid everywhere. Have you ever had that issue where your rings don't fit anymore, or your bracelets get tight, or your shoes feel like they're like getting tight? That's basically what's happening in your intestines is happening all over your body. So that's another sign that this could be bloating and water retention, and not necessarily like you gained a bunch of weight.
Huh. Well, I want to tell you a couple things. Number one, I don't ever sleep with jewelry on because my hands swell so much. And same thing when I exercise. Like if I'm going to go out for a long walk, I don't wear my rings because my hands swell. And at the end of the day, my feet are typically like a half size larger. I never thought that that could be a sign of bloating, and or a sign that my body is inflamed. Yeah. And then the other thing I'll tell you is just a quick story, because it might help you listening to start to discern what you may be dealing with. I'd say about 6 years ago, when our daughter Kendall was in high school, she always was a big burper, like just these deep, just loud kind of burps. And she was such a little thing that it was so shocking how loud these burps were. And it was almost like a joke in our family, like, Kendall. And then she started to say, Dr. Shaw, she would go, I feel so fat. She was not using the B word. She was using, I feel so fat, so fat. And because she was so thin, I thought, oh my God, she's got body dysmorphia. So I took her to a therapist, because I thought, as she is, saying she feels fat, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, You don't look fat to me. You look pretty darn skinny. This therapist said, I think you should get her gut tested. Because I think she's dealing with disordered eating. I think she's got body dysmorphia. She says, no, you should get her gut tested. It turns out when they tested her gut that she was missing all of the good bacteria in her gut. And that what was happening is the food would go down her mouth and down her esophagus and down into the stomach. And all of a sudden it would hit her stomach. And because she had literally no good gut bacteria, the food sat and rotted. And so the burping was from rotting food. And it's disgusting. And the belching, the constant belching was her trying to relieve the pressure, and her saying, I feel fat, I feel fat, I feel fat, was really her trying to explain, I am bloated. And so we went and did this protocol of resetting her gut microbiome, and all the symptoms disappeared. And so this is a very real thing that you may be dealing with and be feeling symptoms other than a food baby. And your gut health is really the issue that's causing all this. Because, I was explaining earlier that I really wanted to talk to you because I had been traveling for the last couple of weeks, and I wear the same pair of pants. That's my little travel secret. I wear the same outfit everywhere I go. And so the pants that I was wearing on Monday they fit on Tuesday, they fit on Wednesday, they fit on Thursday, although I'll tell you that poor little button holding my red pants together was the hardest working person in the room. I have my little red pants right here.
Oh, do you have them?
But by Friday, I had a food baby. Like I literally looked like I was 6 to 7 months pregnant. It was a balloon coming out, and I had to do the trick where you you unbutton your pants and you stick a rubber band through the opening and hook it to extend your pants. And I thought, okay, I can't gain 7 pounds in 5 days because I can't lose 7 pounds in 5 days, right? Like this is not just a norm.
Yeah.
So maybe what we should talk about, since you're basically saying when you're bloated, your gut bacteria is mad at you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's kind of is that the basic thing that's going on here?
It is the basic thing that's going on. That gut hormone immune connection. I mean, that is when that's off balance, you get all these symptoms. People think, oh my God, it's hormone bloating, or oh my God, it's coming from something else. But really, it's because your gut bacteria are not happy. It's not only related to food, it can be related to other things. But when they're not happy, they're going to let you know.
Okay. Like what foods actually could bloat you?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to give you the biggest tip, just to take a step back. The biggest tip when you're feeling bloated or distended is don't wear those red pants with the button on them. Like I can't tell you how many times I've traveled and, you get bloated because of the change in the air pressure. You're not able to go to the bathroom for a couple of days. It's like all of these things. You need stretchy pants for your travel. You need to swap those red pants out for something with a little more give. And I get it. Like it's nice to wear some tight fitted pants, especially if you want to look cute. But for the travel day, wear the stretch pants. Okay.
Got it. Okay. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for Triple Bird certified Dr. Amy Shaw, who just told us all soft pants, people, soft pants. You're traveling, you're feeling bloated. Let's get rid of the zippers and the buttons, soft pants. So I got it. I'm taking it away. I am following it.
Yeah.
And where, like you talked about the intestines and the stomach, is that where this is happening, or are there other parts of your body involved when bloat is happening to you?
Yeah. From the minute you take food in, right, you're chewing your food, the bloating can start to happen there. We all know with gum, with sparkling drinks, these are foods that can cause bloating because you're swallowing a lot of air
Wait, what?
from the time you put it in your mouth. Did you know
Gum causes bloating?
Yeah. Did you not know this?
No.
So
sparkling beverages causes bloating?
Yeah.
What?
I didn't. So yeah, you need to know this. This is why I'm telling you, this is the reset. So sugar-free gum, which is all gum now, right? You can't really get gum I think Bazooka used to be like our gum when we were younger that had real sugar, but now it's all sugar substitute gum. And those sugar substitutes are very irritating to our gut bacteria. And just the act of swallowing a lot of air, when chewing gum can kind of push that air down into all the way. It's one tube, right? So from your mouth to the esophagus, to the stomach, to the small intestine and the large intestine. So it's all one tube. So it can start from up there. Then you have people like us who are always in a rush and always eating too fast. And so it can even be an issue with just eating too fast, and it's going through that one system, that one tube from your mouth to your anus too fast, and you're not taking breaks and you're not chewing enough. And so it starts with, it's not just a particular food, it's just that you're eating food too fast, right? And then you have foods like the foods that you consider super healthy: Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage. And Mel, you're being a great student. You're like, I want to eat all the fiber in one day.
Yeah.
And that is going to create a havoc in your gut, because your gut bacteria are going to be like, we love this fiber, but not all at once. It's like giving them too much work in one day, especially when they're not used to it. And so you're going to get a lot of gas production while they're trying to digest this. So it can happen in your mouth. It can happen in your esophagus because you're eating too fast. It can happen in your stomach because you ate too many really hard to digest fibrous foods. It can happen in your small intestine and then in your large intestine too. So it's like all the way through. You can get bloating from different causes.
Okay. Can we just stop on that? I have so many questions. I'm trying not to go all over the place, because now you've sparked my interest, because all those things you ticked off, I did not know that sparkling beverages, gum, or eating all these things that I would say are super healthy foods like broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cabbage and that kind of stuff, that actually can contribute to bloat. So thank you for explaining that. I want to focus on the foods that you just mentioned: cabbage, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts. Let's just call the trifecta right there, because if I hear you correctly, you're basically saying if you're already bloated and you throw that into your system, you're going to literally inflate the balloon even more.
Yes.
However, when you debloat and you get your gut back into balance so that your gut bacteria aren't mad at you anymore, introducing those into your diet, not as a smorgasbord, but as part of what you're eating, is part of keeping the gut bacteria healthy. Is that correct?
That's right. So
okay,
if you're at a party and there's this like raw cruciferous vegetable plate, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, I don't know why people.
Cruciferous? What is that?
Those are that's the family that we're talking about: the cauliflowers, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, the cabbage. So a lot of times
those four are related. So they're like siblings, the cruciferouses.
Cruciferous family. And they have these amazing sulfur compounds that are so good for like cancer reduction and inflammation reduction. So they're like powerhouse vegetables.
Okay.
But often at a party, they're like on a tray, like raw, right?
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I have had a few too many of those at once. And you definitely feel it. So what I would say, if you're already bloated, don't go to the raw vegetable tray and pick up the cauliflower and the broccoli, because you're just going to really hate yourself later that night, because it's going to start to digest and produce all this gas.
And I'll tell you who else is going to hate you. The person you're sleeping next to, because you're going to be lifting the sheets up as you're farting so you don't create like a hot box in there.
Right.
But you know what's great about you telling us that is because if I'm feeling uncomfortable in my pants, and if I'm feeling bloated, especially, if you're in like wedding season or the holiday seasons or you're on a vacation, I would walk up to a raw vegetable plate and I would go, oh, I should clearly have some broccoli and some cauliflower because I feel bloated right now. And I didn't know until you just said it that would literally stoke the flames and make me feel worse if I'm already feeling bloated and my gut bacteria is mad. So what do I eat instead?
Okay. And then I want to tell you another one.
Okay.
That will do the same thing. So say you're at a party and you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, I feel so bloated. I feel hungover or whatever. I feel bad. And you take a whole bunch of ibuprofen or aspirin, right? That is going to make you more bloated. And
What?
a lot of
Why?
people,
This
when
is
they
my
wake
morning
up.
routine after a party. What are you talking about?
So medications are a big cause of bloating, especially NSAIDs. So
What's an NSAID? What do you mean an NSAID?
Ibuprofen, and Motrin, and naproxen. Those are kind of a class, again, cousins, in a group of medications called NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medication. So NSAIDs all have kind of the same mechanism of action. So, some people like naproxen, some people like ibuprofen, some people like Motrin, and all these different versions, but they're all the same parent medication. Same with aspirin. Aspirin's very similar to all of them. But their side effect is bloating. And so you ate a bunch of cruciferous vegetables, you took a bunch of ibuprofen, and it's the week before your period, and then you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I look 6 months pregnant. And that's what is happening. And so I'm going to tell you what you need to do to kind of reset that.
Thank God. So let's talk about your 5-day gut reset protocol. Hey. What are we doing, Dr. Shaw?
So every day we're doing the 3 Fs. Okay. So every morning you're going to wake up, no matter what, whether you're doing the gut reset protocol or not, every day you're going to do the fasting, the fitness, and the fiber fermented foods. That's goes without saying.
Okay.
When you start on the 5-day reset, the first day, in addition to what you've already done in the morning, you're going to add exercise. And it's the first E of the 4 different E's that we're going to be doing. And the last day, we're going to add all of the E's together. So it's like, exercise is the first E. Okay. And exercise, for all the reasons we already talked about, your gut bacteria get happy. It's the best probiotic that you could ever do. And when you start moving your body, all of that distension starts to move, because whether it's fluid, whether it's a food baby, whether it's, stool in there, whether it's,
just a lifetime of chronic overeating and making terrible choices, or doing keg stands, or going to 17 weddings this summer. Regardless of how you're coming to the table, you're welcome. And we're going to start this protocol by adding in exercise. And does it matter what exercise you do during the 5-day reset?
No, it doesn't matter. Just move your body, because let's be honest, any kind of exercise is good exercise. Now, if you want to add in yoga because you get the twisting, amazing, because we know that physically twisting your gut is going to help release some of that gas and some of that fluid retention and get things moving. So I love things like yoga to add when you're exercising, but more walking. So say you walk in the morning, walk in the evening. Again, weight training, as you know, and I know, we lose about 1 to 3% of muscle mass each decade as women. And during menopause, that speeds up to almost double. And so getting that body moving, lifting weights. Okay. So exercise is number 1.
Okay. Day 2.
Day 2, eliminate, E. So the second E is eliminate. So what that means is that food elimination diet we talked about, you're going to start doing that. So take out dairy, gluten, white sugar, whatever you think may be triggering. So for some people that could be nuts, for some people that can be shellfish, some people it can be corn, but usually it's gluten, dairy, and sugar. If you're not sure, just take those 3 out. Okay. That's eliminate. That's day 2.
Okay. Day 3.
Now, day 3, you're going to start eating foods your gut bacteria loves. The stuff we've already talked about, the things that are going to help your body, recover from this crazy thing that you put your gut through. So it's going to be that spinach, that asparagus. It's going to be that fruit, that bromelain from that pineapple, that papaya that has the digestive enzymes in there that help you digest it. So you're going to add foods back that your gut bacteria love. So yogurt is another one.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What protein is better for your gut than other in terms of like types of meat or fish or beans or lentils? Like what is the kindest protein to make for a happy gut?
So if you're not plant-based, then egg protein is nicely digested by a lot of people. Doing an egg scramble or doing fish is a good way to get your protein. but if you're plant-based, then you could do beans, but make sure they're soaked, like black beans soaked are really gentle on their stomach. Whereas certain beans that if you don't soak them, they can be gas producing. Tofu is a nice thing to eat when you're trying to get that. And of course, like I said, yogurt, probiotic yogurt and cottage cheese are awesome ways to get that protein. That's not necessarily meat, but it's a dairy-based high protein food that you can have. And then of course, nuts. Although nuts aren't necessarily the biggest source of protein, they do have some protein in them. And so having that protein, but protein in general is a great, great way to keep your gut bacteria happy and satisfied as well. So that's a really your gut loves protein. What it doesn't love is fake protein. Do you know what I mean? Like those shakes
fake
and
meats
bars and fake meats and like all the fake stuff. Like when you have a protein shake, I don't know about you, but I immediately get bloated.
Yes,
my body
pretty
does
much.
not like processed protein. So the shakes and the bars, and we all are busy. I eat protein bars and shakes like we have to. It's part of our busy lives. But when you're trying to reset, try to have the protein in its whole form, because that's going to be the kindest thing that you can do to your body. You don't want to exacerbate the issue.
Now, I noticed you didn't say locally raised meats, chicken, lamb. Would you not want to eat meat during this 5-day period?
You know, the studies on meat have become very controversial, as you know. Okay. But a new study came out, and this is becoming a really big thought. It's that we used to think that meat in general was very inflammatory and that your gut was very inflamed with meat. But there's new data that show that maybe it's not necessarily the meat itself. Maybe it's the type of meat that you're eating. Like, is it fast food meat versus meat? So the meat story remains to be pieced out. But if you're eating something that's super healthy, locally raised, not full of antibiotics, not from, your local fast food place, this is going to be a nice source of protein. And as I said, our biggest goal is to make that gut bacteria happy. And although fiber and fermented is the number one goal, we said protein is also the goal. And so getting that, but it's a very nuanced conversation, because you basically could argue still the bulk of the research still shows that red meat, or especially processed red meat, is probably inflammatory to the gut and causes all kinds of issues. But things are changing. So I would say it's like a complicated answer. If you enjoy it, it's doing good for your body, you're feeling healthy, that's a great thing to add to your diet.
Okay, I just want to recap for everybody. So the 5-day reset, one of the things that you're doing is Dr. Amy Shaw's morning routine, which are the 3 Fs. And so you're going to do this every morning, which is the 12-hour fast before you have your first meal. It is the fitness, and then it is a breakfast that includes some sort of fibrous and fermented food, because that makes your gut bacteria happy. Day 1, you're going to add in exercise, meaning in addition to the fitness walk in the morning, you're going to add in a little yoga, a little something else. Day 2, you're going to start an elimination of dairy, gluten, and white sugar. Day 3, you're going to be adding in and eating the kind of food that your gut bacteria loves, which we're learning all about. And what is the E that we add in on day 4, Dr.
I
Shaw?
love this E, because you're going to love it too. The E is for enjoy. So when we're in our stressed and opposite of enjoyment, right, is when you're stressed and anxious, you can't digest and you can't heal from what's just happened to your body. And a lot of people, they come back from a vacation or holidays and they're so stressed and they're punishing themselves by doing all these crazy diets and cleanses and exercises, and it's making things worse. You actually need to go back and spend time with people who are good for your mental health, because they're also good for your gut health. Okay. These gut bacteria, just like we said, we want to make them happy. They are super happy when you're spending time with people who make you feel your best. And it's so crazy to think, but they love bonding. Bonding is a love language for your gut bacteria. They love it. So you want to enjoy yourself. So it's spending time with people you love. It's dancing. It's, doing something that lights your brain, body on fire that's like you're so passionate about. Enjoyment is like one of the things that people don't realize that can be so healing to our body, not just our gut, but our entire body.
Got it. Okay. What do we do day 5?
We're putting it all together. We're doing.
Tell me what that means.
All of these. So in the morning, you're waking up, you're checking if you fasted for 12 hours, wait 12 hours before you eat your first meal. Then you're going for your fitness right after that. Then you're coming back and you're like, oh, time to eat. You're going to have, a big scramble with veggies, yogurt, and berries on the side. And you're going to have your ginger tea because you're trying to eat the foods that are great for your body. So high protein, high fiber, fermented food breakfast. And then you are going to maybe go for a yoga class or do some stretching or exercises again later in the day. That is going to help you. You're going to be on this elimination diet journey. It's not one day. You're not going to know what things you're sensitive to. Our gut microbiome maybe doesn't even respond for a few days. You'll have to do this, extend this for as many as 3 weeks for some people to really find out what their true food sensitivities, but at least 1 week you want to be doing the elimination. And then you want to eat foods all day that your body loves. Like this is not the time to maybe have your artificially sweetened, snacks and chips and crackers and fast food. This is time to eat really healthy whole foods. Maybe you'll have a spinach salad and you'll have a bowl of fruit on the side. These are that's your eat. And then do something, bond with someone. Go out for a walk with a friend. Go have coffee with someone that you haven't seen in a long time, a mentor, a friend, a colleague, your loved one. Spend time with your dog, your baby. Do something you love. Maybe you're doing some creative writing, and that is like the perfect day at the very end. And that's like, if you did all the things and you put it all into one day, that would be the day.
Now, how long do I have to do this before I'm going to start to feel like the bloating is going down and my gut bacteria is happy and healthy again?
I'm so excited to tell you this because there's actually research behind this. It's as little as 3 days. 3 days. You could start feeling on day 3, you could start feeling like, wow, you know what? My mood is better. My bloating feels better. My cravings are gone. And then after, it keeps going. It just starts at 3 days, but in 2 weeks, you should be markedly better. So I love saying 3 days because to me, 3 days feels so doable and it's backed by science. We saw a study where they took people and they rapidly changed their diet. And they said, okay, we're going to rapidly change your diet from a fast food, crazy processed diet to the super healthy gut loving diet. And we're going to see how long it takes for your gut microbiome to completely transform. And they expected 2 weeks and they saw it in 3 days.
I'm so happy you said that because this conversation is going to release during the holidays. And I don't know about you listening, but I freaking love the holiday food. And particularly here in the U.S., the Thanksgiving fare, I have 4 or 5 helpings of the turkey with the stuffing and the mashed potato and this cranberry jello thing that we've always made in my family. And I just love it. And then I love the leftovers. And I think what happens for me is I do feel like I have a food baby and I feel discouraged. And so I do these extreme things. And then they don't really work. And then I feel more discouraged. And so hearing that you can leverage science and you can follow this reset and you can understand the greater context of this. And if you simply stick with it for these 3 to 5 days, you'll likely start to feel better because you're using the science of all of this. That makes me feel more motivated, honestly. Because
me too.
Because I felt after this week where the pants started out fitting at the beginning of the week. And at the end of the week, I kid you not, I could not even button these pants. And the pictures, I do look like I am in my second trimester of a pregnancy in these pants. And I felt like I was. And so I felt really discouraged because I thought, what is going on? Is this menopause? Is it stress? Is it travel? Is it, what is it? It's probably all of those things. Mm-hmm. But I now feel very empowered because this is something I can do. And when you tell me that there is research that says within 3 days, the studies show that you'll start to feel better if you follow this. Obviously, I can't, be downing a bottle of Jim Beam on top of this, or, I got to really pay attention to all the things that you're talking about. Can't be taking Advil first thing in the morning while I'm doing my fast. This makes sense to me. One thing that you didn't mention was taking a probiotic.
Yeah.
Do you recommend that people take probiotics? Like, and I realize that not all probiotics are created equally, but does taking a probiotic help if you're bloated?
Yeah. I mean, okay, this is how I would think of it. In our species in our gut is like the Amazon jungle. There's like thousands of different, hundreds, if not thousands of different species in there. And
of
when
probiotics?
Of bacteria. Yeah. So a probiotic.
Is probiotic the same thing as a bacteria?
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
a probiotic is a bacteria that you take by mouth, right? So
okay.
A probiotic might have, say, hundreds of strains, right? But that's not even close to how many different types of bacteria are in your gut. So what the problem with probiotics today is that if you threw seeds from a plane into a barren land, right? You just threw them, not knowing what climate you were in, not knowing what the local kind of weather, soil was like. Some seedlings may come out of it, if you got lucky, but you don't know what you're doing. You're just throwing things at the wall and hoping something sticks, right? So the difference is when you eat probiotic foods like yogurt, like cottage cheese, like kimchi and sauerkraut, the bacteria come in a food matrix and they're delivered to your bacteria that already live there. Like, hey, look, I brought you some friends. And then for some reason, our body is just more likely to incorporate those guys into our existing ecosystem than they are when you throw a whole bunch of pills into your body.
That makes a lot of sense. I really do want to dig into having you help us understand specific gut issues like bloating and IBS and some of the things that people really struggle with. But before we go there, I would love for you to explain to us, why should we care about a healthy gut? And what I'm trying to ask is, what is it impacting when your gut is healthy and when it's not? You said earlier that there's a big connection between your immune system and your gut health, which I didn't know. And so if you could just elevate this issue for us at the highest level, like why beyond our plumbing working does your gut health mean total health?
The gut immune connection is probably the most important connection for the gut and other organs. You have the gut lining, and on one side, you have the trillions of microbes in your gut, your microbiome, and on the other side, you have the immune cells. And that gut lining is only 1 cell thick. It's a razor blade separating your gut microbiome from the immune processes. And it's a hand in glove relationship. They're working together. Literally, the microbes are like the lookouts and they're like, oh, something problematic coming along. They trigger the immune system. In some cases, they actually kick on the lining of the gut. They push on it to trigger the immune processes. It's a physical interaction sometimes. But they signal the immune cells on the other side to say, oh, whoa, something big. Here comes Ebola or SARS-CoV-2. You guys need to get ready. Mount an immune response. Start making antibodies. T cells mobilize.
Let me just make sure I'm understanding why this matters. Because based on what you're consuming through your mouth that gets processed through this 30-foot tube, your gut is extracting intelligence that mobilizes other parts of your body to help you outside of this tube?
Yeah, absolutely. Your gut microbiome directs your immune system.
It does?
It literally trains it. This is why we see there's a fascinating theory called the hygiene hypothesis. And it was developed by David Strawn. He was an epidemiologist in Britain in the 1950s. He did a study of over 17,000 children from birth to adulthood, so over a long period of time, to figure out why they were seeing these high rates of autoimmune diseases in England and sort of post-industrial London. And he found that kids who were exposed to more germs, who were living in large households where cousins and siblings were always sneezing and coughing on them, they were immunized because their immune system had been trained at an early age how to differentiate between friend and foe and whether to mount an immune response or not, how high an immune response. Kids who were super clean, who were never sick, they had higher rates of autoimmune disease later on. And Mel, if we look at a map of the world today, we still see the effects of the hygiene hypothesis. We still see high rates of autoimmune disease in countries where there are higher levels of sanitation. There's more washing, there's more chlorination, there are more chemicals, there are fewer microbes compared to less developed countries where people have close contact with animals, they have close contact to the soil, they're growing their own food. So the immune system needs exposure to microbes early on in order to train it, so it can set it at just the right level. What we're seeing now in more developed countries like the United States is we're seeing an overactive immune system, which is manifest as autoimmune disease, 1 in 4 Americans. Many people have multiple. Or allergies, food allergies. Everybody's got an allergy.
Why? Why do we have a food allergy?
Because of an overreactive immune system. And why do we have an overreactive immune system? Because of what's going on in our gut. There is a very direct correlation.
Let me see if I can explain this to myself. So you're basically saying that when your gut is out of whack and it's getting all kinds of mixed signals, because if your microbiomes and the gut health isn't intact, it's actually not able to either break things down or read what's coming in correctly. Mm-hmm. And then that means it is not able to signal in an efficient and effective way to your immune system that either we got to go into battle or everything is okay. And so because our guts are out of whack, we're not getting the hydration, we're not moving, we're not taking care of ourselves and eating the fibrous foods, this is causing our immune systems to go haywire.
Absolutely.
And this is so fascinating. And I actually read somewhere, I don't know if this is true, that 80% of people that, at least in the United States, that have an autoimmune disorder are women.
Yes.
Why does this impact women so much?
Rate. And Gabor Mate talks about this and other folks. We think it may have something to do with the effect of the female hormones, estrogen, progesterone, et cetera, and the interaction with the gut. And also because some of these genetic predisposers for autoimmune disease are sex-linked. They're tied to the X chromosome. So a couple of different reasons. I also worry about the personal care products, the cosmetics, the other things that women tend to use more of that are getting absorbed into the body and how those might be affecting women. Because, you think about it, you put makeup on at 10 o'clock in the morning. At 10 o'clock at night, it's like, where's the makeup? It's all gone. Where's it gone? It's got absorbed into our body. And again, I'm not saying that makeup causes autoimmune disease, let's be clear, but we put a lot of things on our skin. And after our GI tract, our skin is our next biggest digestive organ. Our skin literally digests the things we're putting on it. And so we have to also think, what are we putting on our hair, our skin, et cetera, that could be getting absorbed into our body that could potentially be triggering an immune response. So that's just one of several theories. And like most diseases, like cancer, like dementia, it's not one cause.
Right.
It's multiple different factors.
But is there research, or do you see in your clinical practice, if you are doing these interventions that anybody can do, drink more water, move your body, eat more like fibrous foods in your diet, when you can start to get your microbiome and your gut health and your plumbing working as it should, do you see an impact on an autoimmune disorder?
Most of what I do in my practice now is helping people with complex autoimmune disorders like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis get off immune suppressing drugs. And do you know how we do it, Mel?
No.
We do it with diet and lifestyle. And if you had told me 27 years ago when I finished my GI fellowship that I would be treating complex autoimmune diseases with food, I would have laughed at you. And I would have said, haha, that's hocus pocus, craziness. But now when I think about it, I think about my colleagues saying to me, does that stuff really work? And I'm like, are you asking me as a fellow gastroenterologist if what you put into your gut affects what's going on in your gut? And you're asking me, is that how it works? I mean, of course that's how it works. What we put into our gut profoundly impacts what's going on in our gut. And what's going on in our gut profoundly impacts what's going on in the rest of the body. So, it is very contrary to the prevailing wisdom of all the biologics and the immunosuppressants you see advertised on television, and that's a gazillion-dollar industry. But I will tell you, Mel, we have published data on this, and we have a success rate of about 79% getting patients off of these biologic treatments. Now, I will tell you, it doesn't work in everyone, and it's a cherry-picked population because people are coming to see me, fancy GI doc, who, they've got to travel out, whatever, come and see, and they're motivated.
But the intervention is what anybody could do.
The intervention is what
it's
anybody.
Drink more water. It's move your body.
The intervention is not any special diet you have to go and buy or products. It is. I mean, we sometimes do use this very high potency probiotic, the one I mentioned that has the indication as a medical food for IBD. We'll often use that in conjunction, but it's always with dietary change. And I'll tell you the diet that I put patients on.
What is the diet?
It's similar to what I eat. It's a green smoothie in the morning. And I tell them, if you do nothing else, do this green smoothie, get in your 3 leafy greens, a little celery, the parsley and mint are for me just for flavor, fruit, ice, little lemon for taste, get that in the morning. And I usually start people on about 12 ounces, and then I work them up to 40 ounces of this green smoothie.
Okay.
And it's all just stuff you buy at the supermarket. And I always felt like I was sort of alone out there in the wilderness saying, eat food, real food, it will make a difference. So green smoothie in the morning. And I tell people, look, if you're still hungry, have some eggs, make an omelet, definitely have something else for sure. Yeah. And then for lunch, it's usually something based around plants. So I'll encourage my patients, I'll say, get a salad. That's usually easy for people to get. Sure. And if you want some animal protein, go for it. But make sure it's a big salad, and ideally put some chickpeas in there, some hummus on the side. So lots of plants.
Okay.
And then for dinner, if you are an animal protein eater, your protein, your starch, your 2 veg plus salad. And that's it.
There's the formula.
It's sort of sensible eating. And it's also getting people to cut down or ideally eliminate the ultra-processed foods, the packaged foods with all the emulsifiers. In my neck of the woods for autoimmune diseases in the GI tract, we see that the emulsifiers, the soy lecithin, carrageenan, those things are particularly bad for the gut. And we think it's not so much a microbiome, but it's a gut lining, that they compromise the gut lining in some way.
Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.